My name is Estelle Brink and I'm with Jericho Walls International Prayer Network. The subject of today is praying for the multiplication of food. Now I know this is a little bit of a step of faith, but I want to encourage you to keep steady with me and see what happens. During the lockdown time, we have seen literally miracles take place before our eyes and in congregations as the Lord multiplied food supernaturally to get to people in places and at times that it was really very hard and difficult. And I saw this happen in my own home. Surprisingly, how we can pray for something and when it happens, we are surprised by it. But I saw literally food multiply before my own eyes. And as we look at the world currently, facing and experiencing so many complex adversities on an unprecedented scale, I know that one of the rising concerns is the availability of necessities like food, water and sanitation in the long run. We may not have a difficulty right now, but what happens if we come into a place where there's literally not food on the shelf to buy? And this is the focus for today, that the Lord will prepare our hearts to be ready when such time comes, and that we would be exercised in faith. In our session today, I want to encourage you to look differently at the way you cook and when you have a plate of food every day before you, because not everyone has that specific privilege, and become thankful. You know, I know some people say that it's not necessary to pray for our food, but there is such principle in giving thanks for something and not taking it for granted. Now, when it comes to food and the multiplication of food, I think the best example we have is the one of Jesus multiplying the loaves and the fish in John 6, verse 9 to 14, and I'm going to read one verse. There is a lad who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? And then Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now when Jesus took the bread and he gave thanks, he broke it and he gave it to his disciples who gave it to the people. Something happened that very moment when Jesus broke the bread, when he gave thanks to his Father. It happened in that moment. As we are in an uncertain season, we, like the disciples, are called to take provision from the hands of Jesus in faith and share it with others in a way that will make them recognize Jesus and not us. Now, there are 6 things that are very clear from this one miracle. Number 1 is there was a dire need and the people were unable to go and buy food. This is the time when miracles happen. If you are in such a situation in your home, or you know people that are in such a situation, or it increases to become a problem in our nation, know that these are the times miracles can happen. Secondly, there was a young boy who gave all he had to Jesus. What do you have right now in your home that you can give? Maybe it's the only pot of jam. Maybe it's the last bread. Can you give it and see what happens? Do that act of faith and see what happens now already. Practice your faith. Exercise your faith with regarding to food specifically in a very practical way. Thirdly, there was this prayer of thanksgiving, honoring the Father who is the creator of heaven and earth, the one who can also multiply. Remember, it's not us that multiply. It's not us that makes the currency of heaven run. It is heaven that does it in response to our obedience. The one thing that I think always make a miracle happen in the life of Jesus is his compassion. Every time it says, and there was compassion, he had compassion on the crowds, for they had not eaten. He had compassion on the man because he was sick. The moment the compassion of God fills our hearts, there is this flow from heaven that opens. There's this door of the impossible that opens through you and me. I've seen it with my own eyes. The moment I have compassion on someone and I pour out that compassion, whether I love them or I give them something that is substance to me, something happens. The currency of heaven is unlocked. And unless you try it and take those steps in faith, you will never feel that currency of heaven flow through you. The next principle is that once there was enough for everyone and there was much left over, Jesus said that they must gather it and not waste. And I really felt touched by the Holy Spirit that we mustn't waste any food in this season. Whichever way you go about food, don't waste it. Ask the Lord how you can multiply food, how you can feed something or someone else. And then the last principle from this story was the multiplication of the food stopped when the purpose for the multiplication ended. We can't just go forward and say, now I want to practice multiplication of food, and then you just do it because it's not in us or through us that it happens. It is through the Holy Spirit in us that it takes place when there's a dire need and where there's an expectancy from God to do the impossible. I want to encourage you, as part of your prayer life, won't you begin to take small steps in faith regarding the practical multiplication of food, and give and see what happens for you and what the Lord will do for you.